Don't Starve holds a special place in my heart. It's a game that frequently hops back and forth between something I love and something I hate, and somehow, even with that in mind, it has sat in the top of my Steam library in the recently played section for the last 5 years. Don't Starve is a must-play for anyone looking to get into PC gaming, or at this point, any gaming for that matter, because it's pretty much on every single platform. And while playing it makes me as emotionally unstable as Elliot and Mr. Robot, I, for some reason, keep coming back to it and shaving my virtual beard to make statues of myself in my own honor. I spend days of my life convincing friendly neighborhood pigs to risk their lives for me in the name of frog legs, and I constantly want to quit gaming forever when my friend Austin does something stupid that ruins days worth of progress in the multiplayer version of the game. Thanks, Austin. This game is painfully intoxicating, and every single run creates a new opportunity for you to fail at your goals in the most flamboyant way possible. If this game has been on your radar or in your backlogs, it's time for you to play it. So let's dive into the spooky, quirky, and charismatic depths of this lovely little survival game, explain why it has overwhelmingly positive reviews, a cult-like following, and tens of thousands of players almost a decade after coming out. Let's talk about why Don't Starve is so awesome. So what is this game about other than don't starving? Well, it's also about don't getting struck by lightning, don't catching your base on fire, don't getting mauled by an army of toxic frogs, don't stealing the eggs of these guys because they are assholes, and don't many other things. See, and Don't Starve, you're thrown into a brutal, unforgiving world where pretty much everything is trying to kill you. And you need to do your best to survive the weather, the seasons, the enemies, and yourself for as long as possible. Because, for the most part, if you die, you are fully dead, and you're gonna have to restart all the way back at day one. As you try to take on the challenge of surviving, your first goal is to get enough food to make it through the first few days. As you can expect, starving is your biggest threat throughout the entire experience, and you're gonna want to secure a sustainable food source to make your life a bit easier. Day 1 is going to be spent gathering sticks, flint, and grass to make basic tools, and picking all of the berries and carrots that you can find to hold you over for the first few days. You are going to need a lot of food, because little did you know, your guy is in the middle of goddamn bulking season, and he needs to eat at least 60,000 calories a day to survive. Being smart with your food supply, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why would I try to conserve food when I could eat 37 carrots, 50 morsels, and an entire 5-gallon bucket of berries every single day for the rest of my existence? Oh, and best of all, not only do you have an unlimited appetite, but your food spoils as well, so if you don't eat it, it's gonna go to waste. Okay, so that's day 1. With a full belly and some basic tools, it is almost nighttime, and you need to get a fire down ASAP because darkness will kill you. No, literally, if you wander into the dark for too long, it will kill you in 1 or 2 hits, so don't do it. Time in Don't Starve passes in days, and the length of the days changes based on the seasons if you have the DLC that adds it. So you are literally racing against the clock at all times to make sure you have everything you need before the inevitable nightfall comes. When it does come, you're gonna need that fire ASAP, and most nights will be spent chilling at your base, waiting out the night, and getting organized for the following day. And in Don't Starve, it's not a real nighttime if you don't tell a stupid-ass campfire story.
Alright, so there's this guy, and he has a hook for a hand. But wait, shoot.
The fuck are you gonna tell a story?
This fire is your literal lifeline, because not only will the dark kill you, it will also make you go insane. Next to your food meter and your health is another bar that represents your sanity. This sanity falls as you do questionable things, like existing, and as you begin to go insane, you have to fight your demons to survive. You see shadows and rabbits turn into little gremlins, and your whole world crumbles in front of your eyes if you lose sanity from doing things like getting rained on, spending too much time in the dark, or spending too much time around monsters. And eventually, you'll get to the point where these demons will actually kill you. So this metric is just as important as your food, and the game could be more accurately called Don't Go Batshit Insane While Starving at the Same Time Simulator, or something. Regardless, it's great, and I love it. Almost as great as my absolute favorite sponsor on this channel and the sponsor of today's video, Enlisted. Enlisted is a new kind of first-person shooter that has a unique combination of PvP and PvE combat. You command a squad of customizable AI soldiers and fight huge battles with hundreds of targets led by other players. The amount of enemies on the battlefield is actually impressive, and it's one of my favorite things about this game. There are multiple campaigns to play through, and all of them are unique, ranging from the outskirts of Moscow in 1941 to the heart of Berlin in 1945. Each of these campaigns are so varied that they feel more like individual games, and you play through them using unique soldier classes, such as riflemen with bolt-action rifles to SMG-wielding engineers that can build anti-tank fortifications. In short, this game is awesome, and you could play it today on PC, Xbox Series X and S, PS5, or the previous console generation by using my link in the description. And if you use this link, there's even a free bonus pack, including multiple weapons, soldiers, and even a premium account. So give it a try, and thanks again to Enlisted for being a repeat sponsor of the channel. Now, back to Don't Starve. If you recall, I spoke about what the first few hours of the game looks like, but there's a lot more where that came from, and that is just the tip of the iceberg. As you progress, you'll have to manage your time and prepare for nighttime in the short amount of sunlight that you have every day. There are a lot of tasks to do, and figuring out what it is that you want to invest your limited time into is just as important as the tasks themselves. The time management aspect of this game is a much bigger part than most people mention, and it sets a pace that forces you to fully get immersed into the world. Sometimes, when games have inconsistent pacing, it becomes kind of easy to get bored and distracted while playing. Like in Kenshi, every time I make a long run across the desert, I end up zoning out and playing on my phone. It could be because of my short attention span, but could also be because the pacing is super inconsistent. But in the time crunch that takes place in Don't Starve, combined with the inevitable impending doom around every corner, really puts you right into this experience and keeps you extremely immersed for extended periods of time. Usually until you do something stupid and die, because trust me, it will happen. To give you an idea of what a typical Don't Starve experience looks like, I want to give you a glimpse into something that happened with my friend Austin and I in the multiplayer version of the game. For context, there are two versions, Don't Starve and Don't Starve Together, and while they do have quite a few differences, they're similar enough to where if you understand one, you will understand the other. Anyways, Austin and I were doing pretty well in our survival world. We had a nice little base going, a solid foundation for a farm, over a dozen berry bushes to act as a sustainable food supply, walls that required the deforestation of the entire continent to make, and all of the basic necessities to set us up for success. Austin was still learning the game, so while he was doing that, I was on the hustle providing for the goddamn family. And honestly, I was feeling content. On day 5 or 6, your first unavoidable obstacle shows up in the form of a cute little chihuahua that really doesn't like you, and if you could successfully kill them, you're good for the next few days. So, because I'm a pro, we pulled that off and got the foundation set for the next 100 days of our lives. But you see, Austin had other plans. This is a tall bird, and believe it or not, they don't really like humans. But they especially don't like the humans who run up and steal their unborn children. Austin stole a tall bird egg, and when you do this, the birds will continuously chase you until you either get away or kill them. So with the egg in hand, Austin runs for his life for like 2 goddamn in-game days while begging for my help. He said that if he stopped running, he would get 1 hit, so he kinda needed me to save him. I was pretty far away, so I sprinted back across the map, neglecting my own needs in the process to help him, because I'm a good teammate. But before I got there, he got impatient and decided that it would be a good idea to set the forest on fire around our base to somehow kill the bird. I don't know the logic here, but long story short, the forest ignited the wooden wall surrounding our base, burning our loot, our crafting machines, and everything we owned in the process. So I get all the way up to the base, and the bird just decides to run away and go back to his home. So I put out the fire and take a lot of damage in the process because Austin can't figure out how to do it, and just so happens that I'm playing as the character who loses sanity when he's not at full health. So as I begin to go insane, I scramble for 2 entire in-game days to eat enough flowers, butterflies, and random vegetables to get my health up, because I had no healing items in my inventory. As I finally pull through and avoid death, I get attacked by spiders, causing my sanity to plummet once again and causing us to lose after all of that hard work. This is just one of many of our disasters, and if you've played this game, I could almost guarantee that you have some as well. So let me know about them in the comments and tell some other people your crazy Don't Starve stories. Like I said, this game is unforgiving, but the hardcore mode, go as far as you can gameplay loop makes it extremely addicting as well. You're gonna have to restart when you die, and your new game will probably be just as fun as the first one. But doing the exact same thing over and over would probably get a bit old, which is where the characters come into play. See, there are over 16 playable characters in Don't Starve, and each one of them has unique personalities, quirks, items, and abilities that change everything up every single time. Willow spawns with a lighter, but she spontaneously combusts when she's nervous, and based on our last experience with fire, probably isn't the move. Weber can befriend spiders, Woody spawns with an axe that never shuts the up, and Abigail has a ghost that follows her around helping to defend against enemies. There are pros and cons to each of the playable characters, and each one creates a slightly different experience, with slightly different obstacles where you can inevitably die in a slightly different way. But Wilson is the main character, and he's the one that you see on the cover of the title, and I'd even say that he's the most reliable. One cool thing is that you can prevent your world being deleted when you die if you craft a meat effigy, which can be made by shaving Wilson's beard as it grows in over time and combining it with some other materials. Wilson is the only character that can easily acquire beard hair, because if you're anyone else, you have to actually let your sanity drop to the point where rabbits turn into those little gremlins that I mentioned earlier. They're called beardlings, and you have to harvest their beardling hair to make one if you're not playing as Wilson. That's the general gist of what this game is about, and on the surface, it sounds just like any other survival game. The thing is, Don't Starve is different, and it's not only because of the things I've mentioned, but because of the quirky, unique character that it has. And that's how it really stands out from other survival games of a similar type. The real beauty of the open world in Don't Starve is the fact that every single design choice flows together perfectly, and it all feels like a giant, cohesive world that had intentionality in mind. This game could have very easily been generic and uninspired by adding the basics. Maybe a few animals, maybe some ores, maybe a few types of plants, and some hostile creatures. But with this game in particular, it seems like the developers thought about how every addition would affect everything else in the game. The world feels cohesive and extremely thought out, and there's nothing that seems out of place. There are over 40 monsters in the base version of the game, and the way that these monsters interact with the world and with each other reinforces the idea that everything was planned down to a T. For example, Krampus appears if you kill a bunch of innocent creatures too quickly, and he comes through and steals all of your stuff. Trust me, it is a pain in the ass, but if you cause him to spawn at night, he will sleep, which makes it a lot easier to kill him. Tree guards can randomly spawn whenever you chop down an evergreen, as a punishment for deforesting the forest. But it isn't kept at that, and if you plant more trees around him while he's aggroed, he will become passive. Spiders attack at night and sleep during the day. But if it's nighttime and you light a massive campfire, aka burn down their entire forest and home, they will run away in fear because of the brightness. And you can put them in traps to more easily catch them and murder them to get their silk, which you can use to craft armor and weapons. And then there's these pigs who are kind of unsure of you unless you feed them meat. And once you do, they fight alongside you until nighttime when they go back to their houses and rest. But there are guardian pigs who will attack on sight if they see you in the wild, and they won't be bribed with meat, and no matter what, you're not befriending them. The way that this game was designed goes to show that everything was planned out beforehand, and nothing feels out of place compared to other systems in the game. And I think that's what really helps Don't Starve to stand out among a sea of uninspired survival games. In fact, everything flows extremely well, not just the world and the enemies. Seasons come and go, and you need to prepare for the upcoming season using the resources that you find in the current season. Winter comes quickly, and you need to make sure you have enough beefalo wool to keep yourself warm before the cold approaches. But you need to get it before their mating season, because once they're in that mood, they will murder you without hesitation. However, if you have a beefalo hat, they won't murder you and will let you pass through untouched. There's an ebb and flow to the world in Don't Starve, and this, combined with the seasons, the daylight cycle, and the entire gameplay loop, helps everything to be in constant motion and keeps it from getting boring and uninteresting. And it really helps you to get immersed into the beautiful world that Clay did such a good job designing. Not to mention, there are so many different regions and biomes that bring entirely new vibes and challenges as you play. Exploring these regions is a lot of fun because each one has different enemies, monuments, and things to explore, as well as cool items that you can find to upgrade your character and progress even further. While each biome is different and provides different reasons to go there, they all fit together like a beautifully crafted puzzle, and the art style feels unique and consistent across the entire game. However, you aren't only going to be exploring in this game, and eventually you're going to want to settle down and build a base. Your first task is to build a science machine, which is the game's equivalent of a crafting table. Now you can unleash your inner 6-year-old scientist and build that you have no idea how to use. Wow, look how smart I am! You use this machine to craft increasingly complex items, weapons, and gear, and you use this gear to survive in the world and build an even better base. Eventually, you can protect yourself with walls to keep the bad guys out, and you can expand your operation to have a farm that, for some reason, tries to kill you, a crock pot to cook some nasty looking food in, other crafting machines, a herd of animals, and more. This base is your beacon in the night, and you'll be returning to it to sit out the darkness at the end of every day, unless you have a teammate who burns your base down, like mine did. But regardless, your base is important, so you're gonna want to take care of it. See, all of this was just in the base version of the game, and there's still 4 DLCs that I haven't even covered that changes everything up entirely. These DLCs also have outstanding reviews on Steam, and it goes to show that everything Clay does just works. My favorite DLC is Shipwrecked, which takes the entire Don't Starve experience and throws it into the middle of the ocean. Now, you don't only have to dodge darkness, but you also have to do it while on a shitty raft in the middle of the sea while being pummeled by waves. Oh, and for some reason, half the islands are infested by snakes, and there seems to be a lot more things that want to kill you. There's also Reign of Giants, which also adds both fall and spring to the summer and winter seasons in the base game, as well as new bosses and lots of new items, characters, and gameplay mechanics. This DLC is a must because the expanded season mechanic makes the ebb and flow that I mentioned earlier even more immersive. And then there's Hamlet, which adds new exploration-based gameplay, cool things to check out, and new enemies and characters to interact with. I consider all 3 of these DLCs to be almost mandatory at this point because they help to make this game even more amazing. I know I said there was 4 DLCs, I guess there's actually 3, but I was kind of subconsciously counting Don't Starve together as something separate. Because ultimately it goes Don't Starve, it's 3 DLCs, and then a separate game called Don't Starve Together, which is fairly similar to the base version of the main game, but with multiplayer. I hope that makes sense. Don't Starve is a fun, replayable, and exciting game, and the art style alone is worth checking out. In fact, Don't Starve has one of the coolest art styles in any survival game I've ever played. Inspired by Tim Burton, there's a spooky, unnerving darkness surrounding the world that feels like it was imagined by a kid who was scared of the monsters that would come at him in the night. It's dark and gritty, but also light and quirky, and the design choices that back up this art style, again, create a cohesive, unique experience that feels like no other. If you want to play with friends, buy Don't Starve Together, and if you want to play single player with some DLC options, buy the single player version of the game. But that's going to be it for today's video, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Shoot me a message on Instagram to tell me some game recommendations because I'm always looking for new games. Don't forget to check out Enlisted and sign up using my link to get a free bonus pack. It really is a great game and they are an outstanding supporter of this channel, so shout out again to them for sponsoring this video. Thanks for watching, I will see you next time, and peace.